I've had a bunch of these gar skins sitting in my garage for I think 2 years now, and I've tried to make a knife sheath out of gar skin as well as a tie, but neither of those projects really worked out because gar skin is just not very strong. It can't hold a lot of weight, and it falls apart easily. So that got me thinking that maybe gar skin should be used as a decoration. So in this video, I'm going to try to make a gar skin inlay on a coaster. Now the scales of gar skin are super hard. You won't be able to cut through them with a knife. So instead, bend the skin with the grain and then cut that connective tissue. That's going to be your best bet for cutting off a majority of your material. And I've found the best way to get nice clean cuts on gar skin are to take a pretty sharp chisel and with one or two really strong hits with a hammer, you should pierce through those scales and you won't crack them or anything like that. So take your time and try to be as accurate as possible. Then I'll take our skin over to the belt sander and I'm just going to lightly pass it along the outside edge and hopefully turn those straight cuts from the chisels into a curved circle. Then I'll trace around the outline of our gar skin and cut that out with chisels. I didn't do any measuring, but the skin is about a 16th of an inch deep, and I carved the circle out at about a 16th of an inch. Maybe if I was more accurate and did some measuring and took more time with the carving, this would have turned out a little better. But in the end, this was more of a proof of concept, and I'm happy with how it turned out. So if you want to make something look nice, of course, spend a lot more time and be a lot more accurate with your tools. Now it's time to prepare for the glue up. Putting some painter's tape over everything, and then I'll carve out the circle where our gar skin is going to be so that we can put glue in there. Then I'll rough everything up with sandpaper and start to stir up some epoxy. And I mixed up just enough epoxy to cover the bottom of the inlay, and I didn't have any spill out, or at least not any noticeable spill out. And I tossed the gar skin on top of there, put some saran wrap on top of the skin, that way I wouldn't accidentally glue my clamping block to the coaster, and tossed a bunch of clamps on there and let it sit for 24 hours. And after some light sanding, I realized I didn't like the look of the raw pine, so I decided to burn it, and I would cover up the gar skin with some metal so that I could burn the wood and not burn the gar skin. And after a little more sanding, I'll put polyurethane all over the coaster. That'll make it look nice, and it'll also protect it from water, hopefully. I mean, we have fish skin underneath it, so that'd be kind of gross if water got to it. Alright, and this is what we're left with. Here's what I'd change or do differently. I'd spend a little bit more time on the carving. Like right here, I took off too much material. It doesn't look quite as clean. From a distance it looks alright, but when you get up close you can tell that there's some imperfections. There's also a high spot right here. Not the end of the world, but in the future definitely do a better job clamping. And I'd also look at the gar skin as a whole, and like we got a spine line right here, and I'd much rather have that centered, make it look like I knew what I was doing. But I didn't this project, and that's alright. Oh, that's a cool shot right there. That's really cool. So I think a couple more coats of polyurethane would make sure that this won't rot. And if it does rot, I'll just throw it away or something. This is just a proof of concept. If you have any ideas on where to inlay gar skin in woodworking, let me know. I'd love to hear them. I'd love to try them out. And that's all I got, guys. Thanks for watching.